Okay, everyone. Just a quick talk back about learning activity number two in module one, looking at the leader I admire. And as a kid going grew up in school, I remember we usually write essays, the person I admire most. And I noticed we deliberately didn't put the word most. It's just to choose the leader I admire because what I like about this is that you can admire more than one person and for different reasons. But I want to pull forward this activity a little bit to kind of just have us have a good thinking about our own implications for leadership. And that is why this activity is such a beautiful one for me because it engages in reflection, reflective practice, but it also engages us in reflexive practice. So we get the opportunity to ask some hard questions of ourselves as we interact. And I know that you have had that. This is why we do an assignment like this. In the process of discussing leadership, discussing the ideas, discussing how you feel, discussing what you see, what you admire, what you despise, what you don't admire, you get to transport yourself within that discussion and think about implications for yourself as a leader and your continued growth. If you ask me about my own leadership, I'll tell you one of the quality is constantly growing. And I don't brag on it, but I do brag on it. I am such a learner. I am such a learner, but I know I am admired as a leader. And I think that quality that I have that I like is that I learn. I am a learner. I'm willing to learn. I'm open to learn. I do a lot of workshops, but if you see me in a workshop, I drink it up. And that is what I want to get into a little bit as we talk about how are you having the discussion for yourself. So the question is, who is the leader? Why you admire the leader? So I wanted to run through a few quick things because this is a very short talk back. Of course, I call this my talk back sessions. All right. So it's a quick talk back. The leader you admire most, and I put, which leader do you admire most? And we put a lot of persons there who are famous. You'll always hear the Nelson Mandela. You'll always hear the Pope Francis and the Mahatma Gandhi. Those names never seem cease, to come up in our discussion. I'm surprised this when I went into your discussions, and I must tell you, hats off. None of you listed a popular person. Not one listed. Maybe I missed that person, but none of you have listed a popular person. And the number one was your principal. And I be honest, I have to stop. It's a talk back. We do a talk back. I have to stop and say to you, I hope you have said that. You have told this person how much you admire them. And if you have not, seize the opportunity. Copy and paste what you wrote in your class and send it to them in an email. I ask you to do that. Because sometimes what we don't remember as leaders is that how to show appreciation and to say thanks. And sometimes what we don't do also is that when we have strong leaders, we forget that they also need encouragement. They also need motivation. When you tell them thanks, that's their tonic. I've said to people, I've done so much for others. And when I get a letter from a student that says, Dr. Campbell, one of my best courses, I enjoyed your course, I enjoyed your talkback, I enjoy your online. That is tonic for me. That is medicine. That is vitamin. And as a leader, I use that and I grow. So I want to talk about that make sure you do that. But I also was very impressed. Number two was your, oh, that's not supposed to be follow, it's supposed to be fellow. That's fine. We're having a talk back. It's not a crime, right? Your fellow teacher or colleague, you right? Some of you did that was so amazing. Your fellow teacher and your colleague. I must tell you, that's a star for me. That's a star quality. When you can look across the room and you admire the person who sits not next to you at work and you watch their work ethics, you watch their quality, that's a big thing for me. I got golf superintendent. I love that. I love the rationale. And your professor, a lot of us, even as adults, we admire those persons who have really pulled us up and pulled us through and challenge us. Life is funny. That's why you have to think about the quality you admire. I have had students who have been so appreciative of my ability to pull them and challenge them and pull them into the course. And I've had students who are just not happy because I challenge them and I pull them a little bit tighter, a little bit harder. And so it's about leadership, it's about youth, about qualities you admire, it's about that kind of stuff. I want to also underline that someone started their elaboration with the idea of a female leader, and gender is important. Gender is important. So, saying that and making a mark at that and noting that, then getting into the actual person is something I do admire. So, what are the qualities? What are the leadership qualities, skills, abilities you admire? And I list only a few, of course. It was the respect, the trust. Communication is coming up a lot these days. Confidence, caring, compassion, trustworthiness. It's coming up a lot. And of course, you did that in your work. And about your leadership style. So, what we're going to find out in this course is that there are many leadership styles. Growing up, I remember when I did my first course in leadership. All I thought there was it was I thought they were it was autocratic, laissez-faire, and democratic leadership or shared leadership. Those were the ones I understood. And as I got older and I got more mature in my learning, when I say older, I mean older in content, older in the maturity of the language, older in understanding, growth, growth. I realize a number of leadership, and there's still leadership being emerging as we speak. Servant leadership is a big one. I have a friend, one of my best friends, who is a medical doctor. He subscribes, and he's also a leader in his field. He subscribes to servant leadership. And let me just punctuate that if you're not good at serving others, you can't use the term servant leadership. And if you're easily intimidated and you want to be at the front all the time and you want to get the award all the time, you want to be seen, you want to be at the mic, servant leadership is going to be a challenge for you, because it is the kind of leadership where you do so much and not focus on yourself. But I must tell you, it's not the kind of leadership that you leave yourself carefree and careless, because in order to serve others, you have to be strong enough and bold enough and powerful enough and confident enough to serve. So servant leaders are actually very confident leaders. I have to repeat that. Servant leaders are actually very confident leaders. If you're a Christian, if you subscribe to Christianity, that's fine. We subscribe to any kind of many religions, and that you have your place in this course. But if you subscribe to Christianity, we think about the character in the Bible, or the leader, Christian leader, as Jesus and his servant leadership. But I hope you understand, he knew so much. The narrative is not that he's such a servant that he doesn't understand his own power. Absolutely understood his power. And I don't want to get into everything. I'll get into everyone little by little. We'll taste all of these stuff. But I also want to underline transformative leadership. A lot of us, we like to think about transformational leadership. That's one way that's one kind of leadership, talking about people development. And we're going to unpack that, because a lot of people like to claim transformational leadership. If you don't make space and open doors and create and motivate and inspire and mentor people, you are not a transformational leadership. You cannot you cannot take claim to that. You cannot use that as your claim to fame if you do not empower others. So transformational leadership is not about a place, it's about you, and it's about people. Transformative, we can talk about, transactional, we could talk about that another time. I also want to underline transformative leadership. The idea of being that strong leader who want to see change, and you push for that change in ways that are not sometimes the regular ways that are courageous, ways that are bold. You go out there, you take the bull by the horn, and you're that leader is strong. And I want to also underline advocacy leadership. And of course, I'm going to put this right here on purpose, because I want to talk about other leadership qualities as we go along. So of course, I'm leaving those blank spaces on purpose, because we want to punctuate some more as we go along in our next talkback, same one. All right. So advocacy leadership, as we think about what's going on around us now, and we position ourselves as principals, vice principals, superintendents, managers, and we think about what's going on with equity, diverse, and inclusion? What's going on with Black Lives Matter? What's going on with anti-Black racism and racism? What's going on with homophobia, transphobia? What's going on with people with disabilities and inabilities? What is going on with people being excluded and pushed aside? What is going on? We have to think about, are we an advocate leader? Because I'm going to tell you right now, the world is calling for us to be more advocate leaders. The world is calling for us to use the power and the position and the privilege we have. The world is calling on us to use the power, the position, and the privilege that we have to use that for advocacy. We all have power. We all have tools. I myself, as a Black person, as an immigrant person, as a person who identified on different levels, and of course, I am oppressed in one space and I am oppressed in another space, but I do have power. In this class, I am the professor. I have certain power that I can exert in this course because I am the professor for the course. Absolutely. And so I am creating this video. That's another power that I'm sharing my knowledge, I'm sharing my ideas, and I'm sharing content. And so when we see people, especially leaders, looking at what's happening around us, and we claim to be we don't have the tools, or we claim we are helpless and we are hopeless. I challenge you. I challenge you when you say that. I challenge you and I push back at you, because as a leader, you have power, you have position. Your pen has ink, and your ink is not just blue and black and red. Your ink is powerful. I don't know what the color of power is actually. I have no idea what the color of power is, but your ink has power in it, and you can make changes. Your office, the title on your door. So I want you to think about that. I know I get very passionate when I talk about equity, diversity, and inclusion, because that's what is necessary. And some of us, we lead and we forget that we don't see people. We forget that we are leading people. And if you lead people, then you are going to be a part of the action and the things that are happening out there. And so in North House, he talks about 5 main leadership traits. And I want you not to run away thinking there are 5 leadership traits. And I want to also tell you, these traits will change, these traits will be adjusted, because it's not stagnant, right? As we evolve and we evolve, sorry, and we unpack and we grow, we look at these things. And that is why I left this resource with you, where there was a critique of the trait approach to leadership, right? And of course, you're going to watch that video and see some of those critique. But the only thing I want to talk about is many lists of essential leadership traits are highly subjective. Of course, they are subjective, because you may say to somebody, for you to be a strong leader, you must be, you must have certain level of intelligence. And intelligence is a subjective word. You may say it's not. What kind of intelligence are we talking about? Because there are leaders who are very skilled when it comes to their intelligence, but there are leaders who are strong on emotional intelligence. There are people who are street smart. We forget what I call, I'm not going to use the word street smart. That's a part of intelligence, how to navigate a space. So those skills are something we have to think about. I love integrity and self-confidence. Nobody wants to follow a leader who has no self-confidence. Nobody wants to follow a leader who doesn't have the power to influence. And one of the most common traits that came out into the be all you can be activity. In this activity, be all you can be, one of the strongest things that came out was the idea of being an influencer. You can influence people. That was a very, very strong quality that came out in our discussion. And if you can look at the many posts of your peers. The last thing I want to do before I get to the learning, before I get to the sharing of the learning plan, is to just look at some of the things that you had to say. And Christine, you talk about the intelligence and the self-confidence that you saw in your leader yourself. And a word that you use is about passion. That's a big word for me. That's a major word for me. Maybe that's why my eye went to that so quick. That's a major word for me. Passion and precision. If you are a leader, you must have passion. If you're a leader, you must have precision in what you do. If you're a leader, you must have purpose in what you do. And I love to talk about passion, purpose, and precision as a leader. Chris, something that you talk about that I'm very big on is being authentic. And that's a word we're going to come back to. I guarantee you we're going to come back to that word about being authentic as a leader and trustworthy. Being authentic. A lot of leaders, they're not authentic. And sometimes, if is the opposite of being authentic fake? I don't think it is. I actually don't think the opposite of authentic is being fake when it comes to leadership. I think a person's they don't know who they are. And because they don't know who they are, they claim qualities that are not theirs. And they misrepresent themselves. And then they are not authentic. And so for me, I think to become authentic is to grow. Remember, I talked about that at the beginning? To be authentic is about growth. How do you grow into who you are? A lot of us are not challenge ourselves. We don't even know what kind of leaders we are. I don't want you to feel guilty or feel bad. I don't want you to feel any kind of feeling when I say that. But a lot of us do not know who we are as leaders. You have to know who you are. Spend time with yourself. You know what? COVID has allowed a lot of us to spend time with ourselves. Spend time with yourself. Know what kind of leader you are. Here we come back again to another word I love, assertive. What kind of leader you are? Are you assertive? Do you know what you're doing? And then I'll wrap up with this. I want to wrap up with this, the learning plan. This is one example of one of your learning plan. And I underline three things. The goal. If you want to grow as a leader, set yourself a goal. How are you planning to grow? And this person said to strengthen leadership in terms of confidence and innovation and the strategies. You know why I love this assignment so much? Because of the strategies that you share for achievement. How are you going to be achieving this? The world is too, I think I get frustrated every time I meet people and they don't have goals about how they're going to grow. Oh, they have a big plan to grow. They want to grow. They want to grow. They want to do this. They want to move the world. They want to transform the entire world, not just their lives, but the world. But they have no plans. I can't stand a leader with no plan. I cannot deal with people who have absolutely no plans. You have to have a plan. And a plan don't have to be written. So don't worry that I think you have to have a master plan written out with all kind of arrows and tablets and colors and markers and shapes and arrows. We get it. Strategic planning, implementation planning, we get it. But your plan has to be clear. You have to know what your plan is and about the evidence of progress. So if I loved anything about this, I love the term evidence of progress. I am in love with the term evidence of progress. How are we growing? When you finish this course in 7 weeks and you get an A plus from me, don't run away with an A plus and no growth. A plus is easy. Growth is what I'm into. Your A plus is easy. Your personal growth is what I want to feed on and talk about. So I want you to think about that. The assignment is powerful because it asks you to determine as a leader someone you want to influence their growth. Here is my challenge for you. Think about your own learning plan. Think about your own learning plan. What is it that you hope to achieve? How do you plan to grow? What influence that you want to leave? How you want to influence? For me, if I could share you very personal, if you go to my website, DR.ABC.ca, that is DR.ABC.ca, you'll see what I do and you'll see more. And what you're going to realize, even in my style of speaking, in my workshops, in my blog, I'm into motivation and inspiring people a lot. I want to influence people to be their best selves. And years ago, when I started doing that, I must tell you, I felt like it was not as important because people, with a PhD like me from a top university in Canada, and I teach at another top university like Queen's, and I've worked with so many places, people want to articulate qualities that is textbook. I am good at this because the textbook says that. And we forget that sometimes the people on our team, what they want from us is confidence, is love, is compassion, is to see them, is to say good morning, that you see them. And for me, my trait I want to continue to do is to inspire and to motivate. I want people to know that they can, that they're able to. I want every single person who around me that says, Andrew, I want to do a PhD. I want to let them know you better come, you better go get it, you can get it. And I take that credit. I take that credit not in a selfish way, but in a way that has moved me, because when I get the emails from my student, Dr. Campbell, I am in my master's program. Dr. Campbell, I met you doing a diploma and now I'm onto my master's because of you. What is the legacy you want to leave behind as a leader? Do you want to be that leader who impacts influence? Another legacy is you are the leader that is so good at what you do. People follow you because of your knowledge, your precision. And sometimes the truth is, people don't like your personality, but they love the result that you give. And so we have to have honest conversation about leadership qualities, leadership style, and we're going to dig into that a little further. So this is my first little talk back with you. Hope you enjoyed that. Hope you can grow from that. If you have questions, if you have additional comments, please leave them below in the thread, and we can continue to engage. Have yourselves a wonderful day.